Welcome back to another episode of Can't Take Your Call Right Now with me, Harry Monkhouse.
And me, Lauren Reeves.
Today is Series 2, Episode 2, and we're going to be talking about the same theme, everything BDR career, and we're focusing primarily on interviews. Now, we've got a couple of key things that we definitely want to touch on. We want to make sure that you hear both from me and Lauren around how we conduct interviews, what we're looking for, what our best practices are. So yeah, super exciting episode.
Yeah. And then also, kind of questions you get, all that stuff.
All the different stages.
Yeah, before we do that, Harry, tell me about your week.
Yeah, been a good week. I am coming off the back of, 2 weeks of traveling now. So we've been in Boston last week and then got back, and now it was hosting the Australian team this week. So yeah, it was same content, different team, different structure. So the BDR plan got launched almost today. So everyone
Nice.
knows what we are going to be executing on this year. And then new territories and comp plan should roll out next week. So it's exciting. Feels a bit delayed, but it's always a little bit delayed like that.
Yeah, blimey, big time then. Do you think you're going to have some happy BDRs?
Yeah, I think so. We've standardized. We've actually standardized all of the territories and quotas assigned to that across all regions, which is the first time we've ever done that. And then what we've done is we have turned the KPIs regional. So we've got different asks of different people, and they're very different to how you have your team set up. We're going to have a hunter team, so who are just inbound and new business. We're going to have a customer expansion team, and then we're going to have a customer expansion team that deals with inbound as well. So we're going to have 3 different business units within the team of 9.
Nice. Oh, I'd be interested to hear how that all works out, mate. That sounds cool.
So it's different priorities. So I'm looking forward to it. It's my first time I've ever built a full comp plan, territory plan, go-to-market plan for a company and get the ability to be able to run with it. I've done it for consultant stuff, but never executed on it myself. So yes, hopefully it works.
Yeah, let's see if Harry falls flat on his face.
Yeah. Well, it's better than having no plan, I'll tell you that, which has been the case before. So yeah, looking forward to it. How about you, Lauren?
Nice. Yeah, good. Just getting on with the motions. We've had a really nice start to the quarter, actually. The team are doing a really good job, so that keeps me nice and happy. And then otherwise, it's my partner's birthday at the weekend. So he doesn't know this, and this comes out afterwards, so it's fine. We're going away tomorrow night for his birthday for the night. In the Cotswolds. I've booked a little secret trip, so that'd be nice. And then he's got a birthday party with all his friends. On Saturday.
Friends. But
So yeah, actually got a nice little weekend planned, which will be good. And I've got the day off tomorrow, so I have to do the 4-day week.
So this is basically your weekend. You're recording this.
It's basically my weekend. That's a great point, actually. I'm not putting my out of office on.
Yeah, but who needs out of office for one day?
Yeah, I also do have some work I need to do before I actually log off. So, we'll get to that. But it's fun. I'll do that at 6:30 tonight.
Yeah, I bet. Are you glad to be done with you? You've done, 30 presents over 30 days or something like that?
Yeah, I went a bit over the top, actually. It's so funny. Do you know what? It's jokes because, everyone keeps going like, oh my God, Lauren, that's so caring. That's so kind. You're just, such a good person. I'm thinking, no, I did it to prove that I'm better than him. This is not because I'm a nice person. This is because I'm in the battle of who gets better presents. And I was like, I'm winning the battle. I'm winning this, babe. No.
But what's he done before?
So yeah, you can all think it's because I'm a really great person, but really it's just because I'm trying to one-up him.
Yeah.
And I did. I've succeeded.
100%.
Great for me. But yeah, almost at the end, he's got to do today's present, which is going to reveal tomorrow. And I actually miscounted, so I looked at my list. I don't know how I did it. I forgot the number 14. So I've literally gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 15, 16. So I misbought a present. Because I was looking at the pile of presents and I was like, we've got 5 days left. It doesn't look right. You're like, something's wrong here. Yeah, I miscounted. So,
Oh well.
oops. Oh, well.
Is he counting
And
though?
then
Does he
I
even
need to get him a
realize?
birthday card. Oh, he has realised annoyingly, but it's fine. I was gonna do like an I owe you a haircut.
Oh yeah, that's quite.
Everyone,
Yeah,
that's a great one.
yeah. Cash in
So we're gonna
card.
do that. And then when he goes and gets his haircut tomorrow, I will go and walk to the shop and buy a birthday card
Lovely stuff.
because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, always
Yeah.
the thing. I'm actually a big no card person.
Are you?
Yeah,
I love a card. I'm a loser
I've
for a
just
card.
I've just I've just done it so well that no one expects anything from me. It's great. It's great. Like if you
Wow.
down the sword, then people are like, okay, I kind of get it, and I'm like, yeah, great.
Unbelievable. Well, yeah, so there you go. Big weekend coming up, which should be good. So yeah.
Excited
It's
to
good
hear about it
times,
next
good
week.
vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so Harry, are you interviewing at the moment? Are you actively practicing the type of questions you ask people, or are you on pause for the moment?
No, we I'm hoping that we will have a role live soon, but I've kind of already gone through the interview process with a couple of people, so I'm hoping that we've got a good pool of candidates already kind of lined up.
Nice.
I think as well, like I'm always practicing interviewing. That's never stops. I'm always thinking about like I hate going like a year without it doing one form of interview. I feel
Mm.
like because otherwise I've been made redundant before and I've always just gone after that. I was always like, oh, I should practice or hear what the market is saying. Sometimes things progress a little bit further than maybe anticipated just on conversations, but I'm always someone that is always looking at the job market. Not
Yeah,
because,
you're so good at
but
this.
not because
You'll
not
literally
I'm looking to
message
leave.
me.
Yeah, not because I'm
Yeah,
looking to
you'll
leave.
literally message me at like 8:30 p.m. and be like, 4 really good jobs on the market right now. And I'm like, Harry, it's a random Tuesday at 8:30. Why are you sending this to me? And then you'll be like, market shifted. I'm like, cheers, Harry. It's brilliant. So I don't need to go looking because I just know you'll tell me. It's fantastic.
I'm
Just
basically
do it, do it.
I'm a part-time recruiter for every other BDR manager in the market.
You are very good at that, yeah. No, I do agree. I always think this actually. And we talk about this a lot about like what's on our CV that's going to make us attractive
Hmm.
because you're right. Like you don't know if you're going to get made redundant. Like you just don't
Yeah.
know what happens. And same as me, like I have no intention of leaving my company anytime soon for quite a long time. Things happen. I mean, no one could have predicted COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think just knowing what your CV's saying, keeping on top of your skills, how you've grown as a leader, what you've done to add more notches to your belt, all of that is really important. So yeah, this is also relevant for like leaders and also if you're not interviewing as well as if you are. So I agree with that.
100%. I feel like people, especially early on in their career, like BDRs, it's probably not till like 9, 12 months in that you start to realize like how other companies may be doing this as well. And I think
Yeah.
very quickly you can have a conversation with another business and they're like, hey, we actually pay this out. I think while I'm always have got an eye on the market because I am genuinely interested in the way that the BDR manager role is shifting and some of the ownerships and also similar to the last podcast that we did with David and Rich, right? Benchmarking yourselves across the market is really, really
Mm,
interesting.
yeah.
And the responsibilities, like you could be like technically I run a whole team and you run a whole team, right? But that could mean something completely different in another business. So you have to like benchmark yourself on title and pay as well. But one of the things just highlighting on the BDR side is the challenge that I find people get early on in their careers, they get really like trigger happy. So they see the money and then they're like, this company is going to pay me 20 grand more. Oh, I need to move. And
Yeah.
it's actually,
Yeah.
was like we spoke about on the first podcast, it's not all of this season. It's not always about that.
No, it's true. I mean, you remember this. I was chatting to you about the time. There was this role. There was like exactly what I was doing now, managing a team, etc. But it was just like a change of like seg market. So it was like going to enterprise instead. But the pay was outrageous. I literally was like, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that like I could be doing, in fact, less than what I was
Yeah.
doing in my current position at the time. And have made like it was a big jump. It was like 30 grand more on
Hmm.
base. It was crazy. And I literally was like, wow, like I'd actually have less responsibilities than what I have now.
Which is
And I'd have got
crazy.
paid, yeah, and I'd have got paid so much more. And like, you know, I think in hindsight, it's a good thing I didn't do that role, because the exposure to what I do now, I do like cross segment. Like, I understand like SMB, mid-market enterprise. I'm doing like America and EMEA. So
Yeah.
like I'm actually getting far more exposure in this role than I ever was
Yeah.
if I'd gone for that role, and like, which is mad. But like, yeah, I think it would have been very easy for me to think, yeah, lovely. Like, I could already see myself spending the money. Imagine what the rent I could have paid. Like, it's insane. I think you have to sometimes, I mean, you've done this, you have to think about like long-term career gain
hmm
than short-term. Like, that's why you went and did AE and then etc., because you wanted to have that under your CV to be able to say, well, I've closed. I
Yeah.
know what it takes to be a closer.
Yeah.
So you could step into, other roles and stuff. Yeah, I think we can all get blinded by money sometimes. I think it'd be crazy to say that you wouldn't be. And I think it's fair to take it sometimes as well. Absolutely.
100%.
But yeah, it is I think, and do you know what we spoke about this in the podcast with David and Rich, is that it's the difference in pay for the same job title, depending on how far down the funding round a business was, is dramatic. That was also so interesting. I couldn't believe it. You being in a Series A means that you're going to get paid the same probably as what like a team lead is going to get at like a Series C plus.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's not going to do far more.
It's crazy. But again,
But then obviously the Series A, you get yada yada yada. So yeah,
but that we're going into there, this the CV building stuff like is the most important thing. Like we discussed it in the kind of our 2025 recap with Mike and Hitesh, right? They don't believe in, well, Mick didn't believe necessarily in like the AI BDR stuff, but again, one of my goals for this year is actually hiring an AI employee and seeing if I can make it work, regardless whether because I believe that that is something that not many BDR managers will have tried, tested, and potentially been successful at. I'm building a team in the Philippines this year to try and see if we can do something a little bit different. Like again, that's another CV build. Like, does that add additional money to me in the long run? Probably, right? So there's different experiences, and I think it's the same as what you're going through at your current role. Like, you've
yeah,
taken on so much more responsibility across multiple different areas, and there's a huge benefit to that as well. So yeah, super,
yeah,
super interesting.
yeah.
This is supposed to be more about like interviewing, but I think
Let's get back on track.
but I do think it's a good segue of maybe, Lauren, just talk us through kind of how you run an interview process. So we spoke about in episode 1, like how to get into tech. Like, there's different ways, whether you go for like a paid training program, an assessment day, or you go direct or through additional recruiters. There's a multitude of different ways that you can get that first interview. But let's say they have a application that is successful within that first stage. What does the screening process look like? What are you looking for? Then what are the additional stages?
Yeah.
And then how do they get the
So
role?
so we've been using recruitment agencies.
Yeah.
Just because we're small, we didn't have the talent, the real like talent people to do it. So it's far easier to go to a recruiter, build a good relationship with them. They understand exactly the kind of candidate that I'm after, and then they get to do all that really like pre-screening, all of that side of it. So I've been quite fortunate in that sense that I haven't had to do a ton of that. And then at my previous roles, we've had a whole talent team that done all of that as well. So once you're through pre-screen, so what am I looking for pre-screen? Well, depends. There's two areas. I've always said this. I'll hire no experience, I'll hire experience. I don't think that one is better than the other. I think there's good and bad for both. So I think it depends on what you need at the time for that specific hire. There'll be points where you have time to hire someone that's green. You can actually give them the coaching, the training, the onboarding. Then there's other times where you're like, I just want someone to come in and do the fucking job. And then you're like, so then you don't. So,
And
if
when
you've got someone that's
and
got,
Lauren,
go on.
when do you think that is, right? Because the way that I kind of interpret that is, if you, let's say you had a load of people leave your organization quickly, like let's say you have 3 people hand in their notice all within a very short period of time, your hiring strategy there, or I would
Mm,
assume, or mine would be that you might want to hire someone with experience or 2 people with experience there and then 1 person without, just so that you don't have this risk of like ramp, right? Because you basically then lose the hiring process normally takes like 6 to 8 weeks to find someone. Then you've got the onboarding and stuff like that. You really lose like almost like a 4 month period of your
Yeah.
whole financial year due to the fact that someone leaving and then being rehired and redeployed and then back up to speed. So by hiring someone with experience, you probably shorten that ramp period maybe by a month, realistically.
I think it for me, I would say there's two things. There's one, yes, why am I hiring?
Yeah.
Is it new headcount? Is it because I'm adding on to the team? Or is it backfill for whatever reason?
Hmm.
I think that definitely plays into it, because if it's backfill you weren't anticipating, e.g., you've had to let somebody go, somebody hands their notice in, then you do kind of want to fill that gap pretty quick, and having someone with experience is great. However, the second point is the capacity that I have as a leader. So, for example, like for me, I'm the only manager in the UK and the US. I don't have time, basically. So like I've got 14 BDRs coming to me in the UK, and then I've got 14 BDRs in New York coming to me for op questions. So that's 28 people that are pinging my Slack every day. It's a lot of people. So for me, I kind of want people that like right now are just going to know how to do the job. And my job as their manager is to come in, is to listen to their calls, it's to tell them little things they're missing, but it's not to actually teach them how to do a cold call.
Yeah.
Right now, that's what I need. However, in 6 months' time, it could be me and another manager, and I only have a team of 8. And I'm not really looking after New York or American market at all, which therefore means that I could have someone hand their notice in, leave someone and promote people, and then I've got the 3.
Yeah.
But I now have time to hire someone brand new. So even though I am losing people that I wasn't expecting to lose, or I kind of knew because there was a promotion, but all of that stuff, I'm actually like, I might want to go green, because then I can bring them in and I can literally coach them into the exact perfect rep that I want.
Yeah.
And I'll actually, like, it'd be better for me to do that than hire someone with experience that might have bad habits.
Hmm.
Because also, like, there's always weird things that people come in that have got experience to do.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's because they learn how to do this job at that company. And every company, like we said earlier, is different in how they approach things. So, yeah, I think that's a big element of it. I would always be thinking about like where the market is at. So, but yeah, I don't mind. I know some people that always just want a green. They don't want to ever hire experience because they think bad habits. And I know when I was at Party, we only ever hired people with experience because they were like, we don't want to have to go brand new with somebody who's never done the job before. It's too much hassle. So
Yeah. Also adds a lot of
yeah, it
risk.
can also be
It adds a lot of
company
risk.
culture. So
Yeah. I mean, again, I think I said this on the last episode, but for me, I hire only green from a cost perspective as well, because people that come in with more experience, like someone who's done it for a year, is looking for a pay rise
yeah, it's a good point.
or a lateral move. So they normally cost a little bit more. So while it adds it, the risk percentage goes down, the increase in cost and ROI that's needed to deliver goes up. So if you're looking at a profitability chart or an ROI projection for your team, they need to deliver more, which normally means they have a slightly higher target in regards to, hey, if they cost you $100,000, again, if you're looking at a 4x multiple, they need to deliver a 400K maybe in close one, or 3 times, which is 300K. Again, if you choose someone maybe a little bit more inexperienced, yes, the ramp time takes longer, so it pays back. But actually, when you think about your annual recurring costs of the team, actually, when you go into a new financial year, there is less scrutiny on your team's profitability. Again, we're talking about almost different things here, in a sense, due to the fact of you're in a super hyper growth market, new team. It's just
Yeah.
about capturing as much market demand. And I work at a business that is less so around like hyper growth. It's a more saturated market that is thinking about things way later stage, because we've gone through the whole big boom, get merger, we've
Yeah.
unmerged and stuff like that. So it's just different ways that people think about different teams. But it's just something to always consider or understand. But yeah, super interesting.
Yeah. And then I think, but either way, regardless whether you've got experience or you haven't got experience, the things that I'm always looking for on a CV is, okay, so yeah, one, CV's not a big thing for me, actually. I feel like I more go and look at what your LinkedIn's saying and like that sort of thing. So I'm a bit useless on that.
Controversial point. I think CVs are a fucking waste of time. I just think,
And I
I
think that they've
just,
become so shit with AI as well, because unless you've got
yeah,
the fucking buzzwords in it, you're
yeah. I just personally, I get it. I get it. You need a CV. You need to have something there to submit or something like that. Honestly, I think with the, like, again, the age demographic that we are, right? We're basically, we're on the cusp of being the children that got brought up on phones, right?
yeah,
We might have been 1 or 2 years a little bit old for that, but technically,
ish, pretty much.
but there's the digital bring up age, right? Which is like social proofing, all of this. I just think nowadays, and I hope that CVs are changed in the way that people apply for roles and stuff like that. Again,
Mm.
I've tried the whole like applying for a role without a CV and using my LinkedIn. It only works if the person knows you. Like,
Yeah,
downloading your CV from LinkedIn, people just get a bit freaked out by it because the format looks so different to everyone else. Um, but personally, I'm totally like you.
yeah,
There isn't a world where your LinkedIn isn't probably one of the combined, like, the most important things that I go and look at.
yeah. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. So then, okay, what am I actually thinking about on that first interview? Because the first interview for me
But you've got to
is
go through
mostly like,
you've got to go through the screening with the talent acquisition person as well. But you don't do that because
yeah,
you use a recruiter, so they're already
yeah,
pre-vetted.
exactly.
Whereas I think the only difference is here, we'll probably let's match stages for stages. The what you're talking about here is using a recruiter, which I think is a very, very nice thing to have if you don't have a talent acquisition team. The privilege of being able to use one even if you do have a talent acquisition team. I have never used a recruiter like to my
Really?
full extent for hiring. I've had one or two, and then there's a couple of people that I turn to when I do want to recruit. But again, as a hiring manager, you going through a recruiter, you could cost from anywhere from 3 to 11 grand additionally on hiring. So
Yeah, they're
yes,
not cheap.
they're not cheap. So the difference is if I'm factoring that into my budget, where does that talent acquisition budget come from? Does it come out of their salary? Does it come out of my functions budget? Does it come out of my BDR budget? Or does it come out of the TA's budget? So there's a couple of
Mm.
areas that you have to get that signed off in other areas. So I haven't, for any of my hiring that I've done here, I haven't used a external recruiter, even though I have asked to use an external recruiter for some of the more bespoke language speaking areas, but we've
Yeah,
kind of
fair.
pivoted through the year. So the process that we have is we use the example from the last episode, right? I had 200 people apply within 48 hours. What I did with my TA person, she went through what I was kind of looking for. So she does her screening processes, all the CVs. I'm the kind of manager that went through all 250 people. So if you had a LinkedIn, I went through your LinkedIn and then I put you into a yes, maybe no pile. No means that you've done no outreach to me and I just don't like the look of your profile. So you could have reached out to me, but I don't like it. Um, Maybe is like, I like your CV and I like your LinkedIn, but you didn't reach out. And then people are that I say yes to are, I liked your outreach, you connected or you followed, and I do like the look of your profile. And very quickly, then I go down to probably a top 50, maybe yeses. And then we then decide on who are the top 10 people to go through. And that's like we said, normally that's people that have made the phone call, connected with me with some good message, done some form of outreach, and then they're the people that go through to first stage for me.
That makes sense. Nice. I think for me, the ones that get passed through to me in the end for a first stage, they they would have shown in some way that they obviously have that bite. So
Yeah,
like they either reached out to the recruiter, like they would have done something to get the recruiter's attention.
yeah.
They would have reached out to me and then I would have put them in touch with the recruiter. That's always another way as well.
Hmm.
Um that's kind of the main thing, because then oh, people are gonna fucking hate me saying this. I'm such a vibe manager. Like I'll be on an interview And it's like, do they have the vibe? Obviously, there's questions you ask and there's answers to that and all of that. But yeah, it's like, maybe just feel the wind.
They've got a
How
vibe.
are you blowing the sails
Yeah.
today? But
Literally crack a
there
joke.
was just, yeah, like I think if you were to meet everyone in the team, they all just have that vibe. And I
Yeah.
think what I mean by the vibe is that, like, for me, I want people who are happy to put themselves on the line. They want to just be the best. They don't want to fail. Like, most of them have all done something a little bit crazy. Like, I've got people that have moved from the other side of the world. I've got people that are professional swimmers. I've got people that have quit their like 10-year careers and switched. Like, they've all shown that they've just got that bite to just like
Yeah.
do something with themselves. And like that's kind of what I mean by the vibe. Like that's what they would have shown when they were being screened.
Yeah.
Like they'd be like, why do you want to be in tech sales? And they would have said something like, yeah, like, oh, I've moved all the way from Australia and I really want to like use that hunger to like make something of myself. Like, or yeah, I've always been really competitive and like for me, like I like being in a targeted environment. Like they would have just shown they've got that,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is annoying. Sorry about that. That's not that helpful. But that's just what they would have done.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that's how they kind of get through to me, which is why when you do work with a recruiter, you have to really get to know what each other like.
Mm.
My recruiter that I just had, Sophie, like she just knew what I liked, the
Yeah.
candidate. Like she would send someone, like she would message me and be like,
But she also knows how to
hey,
vibe as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's that type of,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think that makes a big
exactly. Like she
difference.
would Yeah, she would send me candidates. She'd be like, look, like this person's profile is like great. Like, look at their profile, look at their LinkedIn, like they've got everything you want. But something doesn't feel quite right. And I'd be like, then don't then no. I at this point I know that you know what I like. So
Yeah.
if you don't feel like I'm gonna like them, don't waste my time, it's fine.
Mm.
I just trust them. And we just got to that point where I trusted what she said and like she just knew whether or not it was worth sending things to me.
Yeah.
And that's what you want if you do use an external recruiter. That's my bit of advice there.
Yeah.
If you are thinking about it and you're sort of adding it in some element, like it's really important that you sit down and you really like they really understand what you want, because otherwise you'll just get shit put in your calendar and you'll be like, great, I've just fucking wasted 2.5 hours of my week on interviews that are a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah. I think I will agree with you. I think it's very rare I hire someone and don't know whether they are going to be hired without,
completely
you know,
agree.
well, let me finish my sentence. I know within the first 20
Just
minutes whether they were a
yeah.
yes or a no.
I knew what you meant. That's why I was like, I agree.
Yeah, but everyone else is probably not watching this and is like, what is he saying? And but yeah, I have never ever turned up to a first interview and gone, I'm not sure about them. And then they actually get through the process.
Yeah.
Um,
That's true.
that's
That's true.
that
Every
vibe
person
thing.
I've ever had that with, they've gone through to the next because I've been like, well, they answered the questions really well, so
Yeah,
like I'll put them through, and then that person's also then gone, nah, there's something not right
yeah.
every time.
So what is your first step in the interview process?
So I always get on, I go, this is just a chat, like literally it's a back and forth. I'm going to ask you questions that you would have heard 1,000 times by this point. It's going to be nothing that you aren't expecting. I always try to leave 10 minutes at the end for questions for you. I always emphasize the fact that they're interviewing me as well as I'm interviewing them. Like they want to figure out if they want to work with me and for my company as well. So I always do that. One thing I'm quite proud of actually is that my feedback has always been that I make people feel really comfortable in a first stage interview, which
That's
is what
good.
I want. I want that because I want that. That's me as a manager. I always want my team to be comfortable, so I want them to feel that in an interview. So that's basically my aim, is for them to relax, because that's when you get the truth. So I disarm people. I get on it, and I'm me. So I'll be like, I might even swear if the conversation goes that way. Like I won't put on a, hey there, I'm Lauren. Like you don't get that. You get the Lauren that you get always. So that kind of throws people off, and that's always a good test as well. So I'll get first question I always ask, how did you find out about tech sales and the SDR role? Always, because I just want to know.
Yeah,
Like I'm just curious. Why do you want to do this job? How have you heard about it? And I think one thing that's so interesting is that a lot of people have now heard about it because of social media, or they've got a friend that does it, so they're doing it because their friend does it and they know how much money their friend earns. What's so interesting is that Never do I really get people going like, oh, I actually didn't know what it was. Like the recruiter reached out and like they spoke about the role, which is what me and you were.
Yeah.
Well, I was. So yeah, I always ask that. And I always say to them, you know, we've obviously there's a lot of channels you can outbound on. There's cold calling, there's email, there's LinkedIn. Like, what do you think is going to be your strength?
Mm.
Because that also tells me a lot. So I don't like it. Or maybe should I reveal this? I suppose if I reveal it, then that means they're reading their
No,
research for an
all
interview.
I'm
So
going to say,
actually,
I've given
that's a good thing.
I've given a detailed guide on LinkedIn to how to succeed in my interview process, and I've only had one rep use it
There you
over
go.
it,
Fine.
so
So
you'll be fine.
I hate when people say email because I think that's lazy. Like you think your best is going to be email. And the reason I think it's lazy is because that tells me that you're going to hide behind your screen.
Mm.
I really think it gives that impression. So I want you to say LinkedIn or cold calling. I
Yeah.
just do. If you say cold calling, I'm going to go, we're a really cold call heavy company. That's really great to hear. Like, why do you think you're going to be good at cold calling? Like what traits do you think you have? If they say LinkedIn, I always, no one really says ever LinkedIn. It's mostly always email cold call, but I dig into that. And the next thing I'll always ask is I always go, did you go look at my LinkedIn? And I just do that, I leave it at that, and I wait and see what they say. Because they should have gone and looked at my LinkedIn. And I wait to see, and I can tell who's lying and who's telling the truth. Because if you're lying to me, you go, yeah, you know, can see that you post a lot. And I'll go, oh, great, like, did you like my most recent video? And if they've lied, they'll go, yeah, it was great. And I go, what did you like about it?
Yeah.
And then that's
I
when obviously
just
they flounder.
I just use the view profile stuff. Like that's
Yeah, but I think it's good to like
put them under
see if
pressure.
people are honest.
Yeah.
Because if they're honest, that's that I don't mind. I like if you're honest. I like if you go, no, actually I haven't. I didn't think about it. And I go, that's okay, no worries. Like you weren't meant to, so it's all right. And then I dive into like video LinkedIn. If they say they have and then they actually like, you know, talk about some of my content, I then obviously ask them if they would do video because that's a big strategy for us at Swap. So I dive into that a little bit. And then the last thing I like to ask, and it's quite savage. I learned this from someone called Cass at Palti. Shout out Cass, she was great. I always say to them, why do you think I shouldn't hire you? I love that question because how people respond says a lot. So if they say you
I
won't,
like that.
one reason you wouldn't hire me is because I am quite disorganized and I can get myself in a bit of a tears and I can get, you know, I can just lose track of my day really fast. But it's something I'm actively working on. And I think one way that I could get better at that is by doing X.
Yeah.
That's a perfect answer because you've been honest. You've told me something you need to work on and like what might make me not want to hire you. But you've immediately said to me, but I know about it and I'm going to work on it.
Yeah.
Great. Then that's
Yeah.
that's fantastic. And when people say to me like, oh, like I don't have any experience, I'm not gonna lie, that feels like a cop out because I know you don't. I looked at your CV
Yeah.
and I'm still interviewing you. So like, why would I not hire you? Because if I wasn't gonna hire you about that, then I wouldn't be interviewing you. But anyway, when people say I haven't got any experience, again, if they follow up with, but I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z, that's great, cool, tick. And then a bad answer would be like they don't really give me anything. They give me something really wishy-washy because they don't want to be honest.
Yeah.
Or they give me an answer, but then they don't explain why they shouldn't then still I should still hire them. That's always a bit weird. It's like, oh, okay, I should just not hire you because of that. Cool. And yeah, and then I always give questions to them at the end. And I think questions are so important. You could have had an amazing interview with me. And if you ask me only one question and it's why do you work at Swap?
Yeah. Fucking done. You're
That's
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
red flag, you're out.
Yeah.
You need to ask me questions. And this is what also annoys me is when people only ask me questions about the product.
Yeah.
Why aren't you
Terrible.
asking me about the team,
Yeah.
about the culture, about how I coach, about how I manage,
Yeah.
about commission, about development? Like there are so many things that you can ask me, and all you do is ask me about the product. Red flag.
It needs to all be you centric. So I think for anyone that's listening, I would go and ask easy questions like, what is the biggest challenge that the team currently have today? What is your number one goal for the first half of the year to go and achieve? How are the team getting to target? What was the last time someone was let go? Why is this role available? What are you hoping out
Just
of your next
basic
rep?
good questions.
What are you hoping from your next rep? Like all of this stuff just indicates what is development, when was the last time someone was promoted, whether that's into a senior BDR, an AE, whatever that looks like. Just talk me through that. Again, I think what people get really bad at and forget to do, like this, like Lauren has said, like this is all about you interviewing
Yeah.
the company as well. So when I interview, I'll be like, look, hey, I've got loads of questions. Look, I totally understand we're not going to get through these. I've got 3 questions that I think is really good to understand what your answer is here today. And then normally around like, why is the role available? How is the team getting on? And what's the biggest challenge? Like that's all what I care about, because all I want to learn about is what is all the risk that is going on? Like what is the challenges that they have? Then I would, if you get to late stage, at any point you should be able to have one another half an hour with the hiring manager just to just answer questions, or you send them up all in the follow-up email. Be like, hey,
Mm,
here are all the questions that I didn't get to ask, and here are all the questions that I need the answer to as part of this interview process. Like that just stands out so quickly.
yeah.
There is one question that is the only question you should be asking, though, in my eyes.
Go
Hey,
on.
based on the interview today and my CV, is there any reason why I won't be progressing to the next stage? You you do, like, I have a point scoring system as part of the interview process, and messaging me before the interview, after the interview, a closing question, and then like there's a couple of components. I test for curiosity through the questions. I test for coachability. I do the coachability element sometimes in the 3rd stage interview. A drive, resilience, and teamwork is kind of, I bucket all into the same one. So we talk a lot about them as an individual, but that key closing question, like, hey, based on today, like, and this conversation and my CV and my application, is there any reason why you won't be progressing me to the next stage? Try and get that feedback live on the call. When I was interviewing, when I went to the Pareto day, my question was, is there one reason why you wouldn't hire me now? And they basically said no. So I knew I'd got the job before I'd even been offered the job.
Okay, so I agree. I love when people ask that question. Question for you though.
Yeah.
What do you do when it's been a bad interview and they ask that question?
I,
How honest are you?
I give an honestly answer. I really do. I feel like it's so important to deliver like the right feedback.
So how do you go about that? Okay, so we just had an interview, Harry, and okay, I wasn't really I didn't really like give that much. I was a bit bland. I didn't really ask you that good of questions. I just sort of asked why that company, like why are you there and that. But I then go to at the end like, so based on how this interview's gone, am I going to get through to the next stage? How would you respond to me?
Without laughing because it's you.
Yeah.
But I would go, look, I think it's great that you asked that question. I know almost every interview, I give the same feedback. I always go, hey, so the first thing, I go, would you be open to some feedback? That's why
Okay,
you
fine.
always buy into that, right? It's the same as like how I do
Yeah,
feedback in
I
a
like that.
team. Then I would go into like, hey, so there's a couple of areas that I would look to be working on. First, you didn't message me before coming into this. You didn't look at my LinkedIn. They're normally key indications of intent of wanting the role. Those, when we went into some of the questions about you, again, I assume that is the topic that you know best. It's you. So I would have expected some more detailed answers as part of that. I think when we got down into some of the more detailed questions where I was looking for you to articulate certain aspects, I don't think you did a great job in answering what I was looking for. Let me give you an example of how I would have
Nice.
answered that as a person, and then be like, hey, I don't think I'm going to be progressing you to the next stage, but that doesn't mean that you can't use my network as part of that. But I would recommend you go and work on the things that we've just addressed,
Mm,
because that's going to help you in the next interview. So keep asking a closing question, follow follow up, post follow up, and then just get really good at your answers around you and why you want to do this, and then some more of your detailed answers. And it's okay if you read off a screen, everyone's nervous, but go and focus on those few things, and I think you will definitely be getting a BDR role as part of that. So I feel like
nice.
I've got that
Claps for
feedback down.
Harry.
But I have to say, even my my first stage interviews are also very similar. I actually get them to talk about them loads, but the main bit of feedback I give is people messaging before and afterwards, and the closing question. So my point system as part of the interview. So if I tell you, if I said, "Hey Lauren, can I give you some feedback?" Yes. Hey, you didn't answer. You didn't actually ask a closing question at the end. Can I share with you how I would have closed this call? And I get them to write, then they write it down. I say, hey, you might want to write this down. The notes that I leave for the next manager who does the interview, did they ask a closing question? And if they don't ask a closing question, then they don't progress to the final stage, because
Okay.
that shows coachability. And I don't, I,
Mm,
if I'm going to go out of my way to give you feedback and then you kind of just flip me off because you haven't taken on that feedback and you forget that, that's not someone that I want to be hiring. So every single
nice. I like
person I've
that.
hired has not done that. The last three hires here didn't send a pre message and didn't do a closing question, but both of them did it in the second one and the third one, and that's why they got the job.
Fine.
Because every time of feedback I gave them, they took it into
Yeah,
their
they actually
next
took it on
interview.
board.
Yeah.
That's really nice. I like that. That's a really great point. I hadn't thought of doing it. And I think I love that approach, by the way. I've took a lot away from that and I will definitely be doing similar. I think one thing that I struggle with sometimes is that somebody has done a pretty good interview. They haven't wowed me. And then they close me out. And I actually do want to go away and think about it. And so I'm a bit like, oh, I don't want to give overly positive feedback because if
Hmm.
I do choose to not progress, I don't want to have misled them. But
Yeah.
I don't want to give mostly constructive because I don't want them to think, God, that was really bad. Like I'm not, and then like they get put through and then they go like, I don't really get it. But that's definitely on me, and I could definitely think of a way of like giving feedback that's fair so that I'm not doing that. I think that's what it is for me. I just don't want anyone. I think interviewing's hard enough, and
Yeah.
I think that I don't want anyone to walk away from an interview being like, that was amazing, and then they get told no and they're like,
Yeah.
you know, it's important to me that like it's a fair process. So I think I've just struggled when it's been I'm either not sure or it's no. I've always struggled with like the end. I don't want anyone to ever feel shit. So but that's a me problem.
I think because I've been in so many interview processes where I got to final stage of an interview that I was pretty hyped up about. I was like,
Mm,
I could see myself working for this person, could see myself working for this team. It was me and one other person final stage, and we were discussing like what the package would like. It was getting pretty far down, and the feedback I got given as part of the rejection call was like, "Hey, we're looking for someone with who thinks a little bit differently than us, but also doesn't have as much experience or something like that." And I was like, "Okay." They ended up hiring someone with loads of experience and who was exactly like them, and that person ended up being there for 9 months. Like, I just really,
mm,
really didn't like the feedback that I got, that it didn't align with what they actually ended up hiring
yeah.
and stuff like that. It's just like just tell people straight, right? At the end of the day, like I'd rather people tell me, hey, that was a really poor interview. My first ever role I got as an AE when Gavin hired me, he called me and was like, how do you think that went? And I was like, no, I think that went pretty okay. He said, no, really shit. But you're not meant to know that that was a really shit interview because you've never interviewed for an AE role before.
Mm,
So I'm gonna we're gonna do some weekend work and you're going to interview again on Monday. And if we're looking for these types of improvements, and he saw something in me which I'm
yeah.
very thankful for, and he coached me through that process. And it doesn't. That's sometimes where you can be honest and just be like, "Hey, that interview didn't hit the mark, but I can see something in you.
Yeah.
Why don't we progress you to next stage and see what that other person says? Because that might just be the lens that you need to, or you give them that feedback, being like, "Hey, I think I need to sit on this. There was something that was missing, and I can't find work out, but I promise to give you that feedback as part of that."
No, I really like that. That's I think for me, which obviously isn't the intention, but now my big takeaway from this is that like I'm gonna be far blunter with my feedback. I think I've always been a little bit too protective, and actually, you're right that like I'm not benefiting people in the long run. So I'm gonna be far better now. I mean, I'm not interviewing right now, so but I can think about it and actually like think about how I go
Yeah.
about it. So yeah, I'm gonna be
It's this.
much better at giving feedback because I've also been given wishy-washy feedback,
Yeah, it's
and
horrible.
and it's really irked me. And I've
Yeah.
been like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't really get what you're saying because like that isn't true. And I actually was given feedback once, and I challenged it because I went, "That's not what I said."
Yeah.
I went, "I said this," and they were like, "Oh," and then that's it. You got a bit of a sour taste in your mouth because you're a
Yeah.
bit like, "Oh well, I'm a bit irked now." Like, you could have just said, "Sorry, there was someone better."
Mm,
And then I'd been like, all right, fair enough. Like,
mm.
but when you give me some like half-assed reason as to like why I'm not the right candidate, that doesn't really add up. Yeah, that I agree. It's really frustrating.
I
Yeah.
uh, I have this mindset of I always look at how I want people to be speaking about me, which is like my goal for my team is when I'm out the room or they progress in their career, they always look back at me as one of the best managers they ever had. Like
Great. That's always
I
my goal.
have a very like me complex about it, but it's the same as interviewing. I still
Yeah.
want to make an impression on someone, whether they're positive or it's a positive experience or a negative experience for them. That like you're leaving a little bit of a blueprint or something on them that they go, actually, I got given this feedback from this random guy that allowed me to get this role. And it sometimes can work.
Yeah.
And it sometimes, even if it works in the way that like, hey, I've been doing these interviews, I got that feedback, and I think I'm going to be shit at being a BDR because that was really intense and I didn't like the feedback. That might push them back out of being wanting to be a BDR. And that sometimes
Mm,
might be the best thing for them. So I think it can come.
true.
I think there's only a lot more positives that can come from that. I think that what I think there's one thing again. I think probably our stages are probably quite similar. Like we go and speak to another manager second stage, and they run their own process, and then step three, maybe we can do a whole area on. And I think every manager does their final stage very differently. I do like you have to bring a cold calling script, an email that you would write, and a prospect that you would go and
Mm,
prospect. So you have to try and do the BDR role. Again, you get a lot more grace if you've never done the role before. But I think my hard question that I deliver as part of an interview phase, which I've only ever had one person pass, is I ask them to teach me something I don't know. And the answer that people start
mm,
normally just talk people just start normally talking at me because they think talking is the right answer. But actually, if you think about it, if I asked you that question, the first thing that would came to my head when I got asked this for the first time was, how the hell am I meant to know what Lauren knows? Because I've
yeah.
never spoken to her before.
Well,
And
my first thing was like, I've got to ask a question. I've got to be like, do you know anything about this?
yes, exactly.
And then, yeah,
And I've only ever had one person do that.
I
Um,
love that's a good question. I like that.
And then the plan is that they do some general discovery. They figure out, hey, what you do and don't know. And then they tell you something about you don't know. And it's about their storytelling. So it tests active listening, gut
Mm,
instinct, and it tests storytelling. Now, what normally happens, which is really uncomfortable, but I think it's a great exercise, is they start talking at you and I go, Lauren, do you know about this? Do you know about this? Do you know about this? And you go, and then they tell you and you go, I didn't actually know about that, but you didn't know that I didn't know about that because you didn't ask the question. Would you be open to some feedback? And then I go, okay, we're going to do the exercise again, but I'm going to tell you how to do it. So you need to ask some discovery questions about that topic, and then you need to tell me the story again. And it might
nice.
change depending on my answers. Now,
Yeah.
there's some people that, again, then don't ask me any questions and just go straight into it, and that shows like the panic and like the lack of active listening. But in theory, you should then go, "Hey, do you know anything about these types of dogs? No. Do you
Nice.
know something about this?" And I've only ever had one person I've ever interviewed where they've gone, "Hey, do you know about this? Do you know about this? Hey,
Mm,
would you, if I told you about this, would you know anything? No. Okay, let me tell you a story about this." Um,
nice. I love that. That's a nice little, that's a good little way to end, I would say. That's a good tidbit. I love it. I'm going to start using that, I think.
Yeah,
That's good.
I'm going to steal with why shouldn't I hire you? I'm definitely nicking that as my final kind of question.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't quite talk for everyone, but this is one of my favorite episodes because I think we've actually both just learn a lot from each other, which is why we love doing this, because we both sometimes, I think we'll just chat about stuff and we'll both go like, God, like I actually never thought of that, which is why we started this in the first place, so we can
Yeah.
actually just learn. So I actually really enjoyed this chat, even though it didn't go
Well, but
exactly to what
well,
I think we thought it would be,
let,
but
next episode, let's just go through stage 2 and stage 3.
there
And
you
we'll just
go,
do this as
sorted.
a part 1 of interview.
Yeah, nice. There you go. There you go,
Perfect,
guys.
solved it.
Part 1 of a part 2 coming. Nice. Well, Harry, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week and a lovely weekend.
You too. I hope you enjoy the trip and everything else that comes with it.
Thank you very much. And as always, please like the episode. Please make sure you rate us 5 stars. Give us a follow on Spotify and on YouTube.
And if you'd like to sponsor the
And
podcast, then feel free to do so.
we'll say anything you want us to say. Thanks. All right. Thanks, guys. See you all in our next episode.
See you, Lauren. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.